there are a few kinds of leaves he can eat, but almost all spinach. And his diet is better than a rainforest animal's diet is, and so we made some adjustments. But he did not start out on rice the way that the other ones did, and he's just starting to have a little bit of rice right now, just because it seems like a good thing for him. But he eats the veggies in the morning, and then at night he's gonna eat twice a week. He eats a hard-boiled egg. 3 times a week he gets 1 serving of fruit, and then he eats some biscuits that we'll see when we prep his nighttime food later, or his during the day food later. So,
Do you ever get him like what would be in a rainforest for leaves?
so the guy who breeds these guys has a Cecropia forest, and sometimes we get a little bit of that for him. The guy that breeds these also is the only person in the States that is breeding 3-toed sloths. But the reason that he can do that is he started a Cecropia grove 20 years ago, before he got his first 3-toed sloth. The other breeder that I know tried it, he got 7 sloths and survived. Cecropia leaves is all that they can eat, the 3-toed. And similarly, that is why a koala is the most expensive animal to keep. Is koalas can eat nothing at all except fresh eucalyptus leaves, and there's nowhere in the States that you can grow them. So per the USDA, if you are going to be licensed to keep a koala, whether you have any, you just choose a little longer. From 1 to 4, they say you need to budget $700,000 a year to feed them, because basically you either have to own a jet or lease a jet to fly back and forth and get eucalyptus leaves. And mainly only major zoos have them, and the major zoos generally have very deep-pocketed sponsors that, you know, I'm the koala guy, and they literally unpocket, you know, 6 or 7 figures a year on leaves. But this guy is a grown adult. He is going on 6 years old, and if you compare him to Zoe, he's gonna reach down. Hey, bring down and see us, buddy. Why are you staying up there? Hey, Flash. If you hold the food a little lower, he'll hang down. And then when you see his mouth open, you'll see what ginormous choppers he's got. So sloths have no enamel on their teeth, so the teeth grow throughout their life. So if I'm ever quiet at all, which is a rare thing, if you listen to him, there's a little noise when he opens and closes his mouth. Those are his teeth grinding together. So when they open and close their mouth, their teeth, what we would call canines, even though they don't technically have canines, but what would look to us like canines, they're sharpening against each other like this when he opens and closes his mouth. He has no enamel on his teeth, and he's going to live 20 years in the rainforest and doesn't own a toothbrush, so that's a good thing. So like a rodent, rodents, you know, their 2 buck teeth or what grow for all their life, and they're always sharpening their teeth, but they sharpen their teeth on external things. A sloth, it's what would be canine teeth to the casual observer, or what grow throughout their life, and they sharpen one against the other. So they have strong, sharp teeth for all of their life, and but they don't get replacements. Just the one set of teeth is all that they get, and so that keeps them good throughout their life. We talked a little bit that they have horrible vision, so their eyes have a structure called rod monochromacy, which means that they have all rod cells, no cone cells. So they have only color vision. They never ever see any color. But even beyond that, you can have monochrome vision and have excellent vision. These guys don't. So even at nighttime, their vision is horrible. In the daytime, he's seeing just shapes and shadows. So if you look where his pupils are, he's got just pinpricks there. So, you know, it's about like if you were trying to look around like this, you know, they're not literally, because, you know, it's just letting in very little light, but their vision is horrible. So they're working primarily on their sense of smell and on their sense of hearing. So on most days, when I open his door and say, "Hey, Flash," he just comes right down. So I never ever wear any cologne other than what I'm wearing, and
He knows it's you.
My monotone voice may not be great for a camera, but it's good for my animals, they like it. And yeah, so I am his person. I have spent at least an hour a day with this sloth every day for about 3.5 years now. I think I've missed a total of about 20 days in 3.5 years. But yet, I have never held this sloth. So we interact with all of our animals in the way that they are comfortable with, not necessarily what we want them to do. And so, you know, you can stand approximately this close to this sloth to take your picture with him. And you can pet him. He only likes to be petted on the back, just slow like a sloth. And he'll hang all the way down. He likes to do his hands all in my hair like this, and he'll lay his shoulder up against my shoulder, and it'll look like he's snuggling up to me upside down. But he has never made any move to move onto my body. And if it's not what he wants to do, if we won't do it, it's okay. Also, our sloths, if they're having an off day and they just for whatever reason don't feel like interacting with someone, they won't. And there will be no repercussion to the animal. The same food that's in that dish will go in there and he will get it whether he comes down the tree or not. But I think in the 1.5 years that he's been doing encounters, he's had maybe 4 or 5 of those days. And that usually is related to a large number of children in the condo upstairs that are loud all night. And so he's still asleep at encounter time. And yeah, maybe. But on any day, if he doesn't feel like coming down, he doesn't. No repercussion to the animal. I've had a bad day too once, and you know, back when I had a boss, I called in sick once, and so it's okay. But no, I've never held this sloth because he was raised in a static display, so it wouldn't be natural to him to be held. And we genuinely love and care about our animals, so we're not going to force them to do anything they're not comfortable with.
Has he ever let anyone hold it?
No one's ever held this sloth. If he has to go somewhere, he walks from that stick onto a different stick, and we carry him on the stick. And obviously, when I'm carrying him on the stick, you know, he can just step right from the stick to me. I hold it like this, you know, like the Thanksgiving with the deer on it look. And but he doesn't. He hangs on the stick. The main reason we ever move him is to weigh him. Our vet comes here. He doesn't go to the vet, and he does miss out on going out on walks. You know, if he wanted to be held by somebody, he would go out for walks, but he doesn't. And he's got his outside environment. You know, he loves the rain. If it's a warm rain, we leave his door to the outside open, and he scurries out there and hangs in the rain. He has a misting system in there to keep the humidity up to 50%. And some days he goes right over and gets in the misters, and other days he goes to the other side and stays dry. Just whatever he wants. His room gets misted twice a day, once after he eats his breakfast and once at night. And we used to have the humidity coming through the HVAC system, but I decided long term we were going to end up with mold issues trying to keep 50% humidity. So now we run it through a misting system. We hook up a hose right there, and that goes up. You guys will help me mist him in a while. It's not a big deal, but you know, something we do. And he did go to the bathroom last night a little bit, so we're going to have to clean his room up a little before we missed it. So when they do go to the bathroom, they come all the way down the tree, same side of the tree. Every single time go to the bathroom on the same pile that they always go on. So we said they eat a tremendous amount of food, 10% of their body weight. That's sort of a ho-hum number till you put it to human perspectives. I weigh 180 pounds. So that would be me rolling up to Outback and saying, bring me 18 of those 16-ounce porterhouse steaks, and I'm going to chow them all down.
Yep.
Obviously that wouldn't work. But like most ruminant animals, he is not ruminant. He does not regurgitate and rechew. But like most animals that eat grass, they eat tremendous amounts of it. But most of them that eat grass, they poop tremendous amounts every day. His food stays in him a whole lot longer. He has a multi-chambered stomach, but it's more like sectioned than chambered. He doesn't have 4 separate stomachs the way a cow does. His stomachs all run together. But the food moves very, very, very slowly through. So he has the same, obviously, chewing motions that we do. Look at the choppers on that guy. He can really chew. He's got more going on with his stomach than we do, because he is digesting primarily cellulose. Cellulose is hard to digest, takes a lot of effort, but his food is really poor quality. So if he goes to the bathroom only once in 7 to 10 days, and he eats 10% of his body weight every day, that means he may have eaten 100% of his body weight since he last went to the bathroom. So when he goes, it's epic. He does metabolize, as in convert from food to energy, a very high percentage of that food.
Sure.
When he goes to the bathroom, he's gonna drop about 1/3 of his natural body mass when he goes to the bathroom. So normally when this guy drops a deuce, that's gonna be, 5 pounds between solid and liquid. And human perspective, if I was gonna drop 1/3 of my body weight, you could divide by 180 by 3 and feel the shudder and go on to another topic. But, so, as the study of sloths continues, we go from very, very stupid ideas to pretty good ideas to correct ideas, or maybe what we currently think are correct ideas. So the first idea on why a sloth poops always in the same place, number one, is that they only lived in one tree or a very small set of trees, which is no longer thought to be true. Number two is that they're just neat animals, and that makes no sense. If a sloth's life is going to end, generally, when it comes down to the tree to go to the bathroom and a predator catches it, that is their normal end of life. So that would make no sense to risk your life just because you're neat. Then the next idea was that they are fertilizing their own tree. Again, that makes no sense. If the sloth was anywhere in the canopy of his tree, when you went to the bathroom, it's gonna land above the root system of that tree.
Yeah.
So it fertilizes the same no matter where it hits. So the actual reason is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So symbiotic meaning beneficial to both sides of the equation, where parasitic would be beneficial to one side, neutral or harmful to the other side. And so the benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the living environment and food source of the moths. There is a type of moth in the world called a sloth moth that lives nowhere on earth except in the fur and in the waste pile of a sloth. The moth's food source is the moss and algae that grow all in the sloth's fur, which is why sloths look so nasty. When you see a picture of a wild one, it's all covered up in moss and algae. The only reasons that this moth will leave the sloth during its life is to drink water that pools up in the leaves up in the canopy of the rainforest, and to jump into the waste pile to lay their eggs. So when the sloth comes down the tree, the moths fly down into the waste pile, lay their eggs. The oldest ones will lay there and die. The other ones will fly back up onto the sloth. The sloth will have a total of around 125 to 150 moths and beetles living in their fur at any given time. You guys can stand up and stand on both sides of him. You can hold me, Dash. I'll take a picture together if you want. And this moth benefits just as much as the sloth. But if you want to stand up and take a picture while he's still eating, I'll be happy to be your cameraman for a minute. You're welcome to stand up while you're holding him. You can just stand right up against him on both sides. He is not afraid of you, and he's not me. Profile picture coming around. You're welcome to pet him. You'll feel the marked difference between a baby and a 1-year-old and an adult. He still is a lot softer than he looks like he would
Yeah,
be.
actually, I'm surprised.
He does not get baths. He grooms himself. He gets outside in the rain or up into the misters, and then he licks himself all over. And but he doesn't get groomed. And so anyway, we were talking about symbiosis. The benefit to the sloth is that the sloth digests his food by a bacterial process more than enzymatic. Now we also digest our food. We have helpful gut bacteria, which we do need, but we have more enzymes than we have bacteria. He is primarily bacterial digesting. So for us, our gut bacteria would die out if we took a long course of antibiotics. That's about the only thing that would kill off our gut bacteria. So if we took a long course of antibiotics, what we need to do is go down to GNC and get some lab culture probiotics, or, where did that noise come from? Or get some good Greek yogurt. Either way will work, and that was how we would fix up our gut health. The sloth lives in the rainforest. There is no GNC, there is no Publix, so he needs another source for his gut bacteria. So as he grooms himself, he looks up a certain amount of the moths themselves, which are a protein source for him. And he looks up a certain amount of the waste of the moths, which is where his gut bacteria come from. In the wild, what would kill a sloth's gut bacteria entirely would be cold weather. If the sloth gets down to around 55 degrees, it will kill all the moths that are on him and all the bacteria that is in him. And 30 days later, the sloth would die of starvation, not for lack of food, but for lack of ability to digest the food. That is another of the reasons it's a horrible idea to buy a wild-caught sloth, is you don't know that it didn't get cold in shipping. And if you're not something of an expert with sloths, you will not be aware that your sloth is on death's door until he's dead. In the other benefits to the sloth are maybe still kind of hypothesis more than theories. So the other benefits to the sloth, when he's in the tops of the tree, he's entirely safe from every type of predator except eagles. When the sloths go to the bathroom when the moths go to the bathroom on the sloth, that fertilizes the moss and algae in their fur. It makes there be more moss and algae, which is more camouflage. Then the in the weeds one, since we're here for 3 hours anyway, is peptids and leptids. So a three-toed sloth is known to have more peptids and leptids in their blood than a two-toed sloth, and peptids and leptids are good. The reason why a three-toed sloth has more peptids and leptids is they have moths more densely on them. The reason they have moths on them more densely is when they come down the tree to go to the bathroom, they use that tiny little tail to dig a hole in the middle of the poop pile. So while they're in direct contact stirring the poo, not only the moths can fly up onto them, but the larvae can crawl up onto them. So they have moths even more densely on them than two-toed sloths with those tails do. And they have more peptids and leptids in their blood as a result.